Welcome back to the Law of Ball podcast, and the Knicks are rolling. They've won 13 straight playoff games now, and they're the only team outside of the 2017 Warriors to do this. And that is some crazy company to be a part of, especially when you compare talent on paper between the Knicks and other historic teams that didn't accomplish this. And they just continue to find ways to get it done. And hopefully after last night, people will finally start to recognize them and give them credit for the great team that they are. But last night was also proof to the world that experience is not overrated, which many fans just love to claim. I don't understand how you can possibly disagree with the fact that you'll be better at something the more times you do it. And the Spurs' inexperience evidently showed last night, and this will cost them in such a close 1-point game that was a must win. Mitch Johnson, you are a basketball terrorist. You need to be flushed down the toilet. You need to be fired out of a cannon from San Antonio to Cancun. We need Greg Popovich on an iPad on the bench instead of you. Like that Wemby pass off of Castle's back, never. I mean, it just never should have happened. Just call a timeout, man. Like, I know the idea of letting your guys play it out, but you can only do that when your guys know what they're doing. Like, if you have Curry and Draymond, sure, they can play it out because they've done this over and over and over again. But the Spurs, they're learning on the fly. So call a timeout, settle your guys, and draw up a play. But you know why he didn't call a timeout? It's because he doesn't have any place to draw up. Like, what was that ATO? Fox dribbling aimlessly for a few seconds, and then Wemby sets a screen for him, and then just floats aimlessly in the mid-range? Like, after Wemby set the screen, Mitchell Robinson was soft doubling Fox. Fox needs to attack that and make Mitchell Robinson have to make a decision. And then Wemby just died to the cut, man. You're 7-4. Your season is practically on the line at this point, and you don't get 2 feet in the paint with a running, especially with a running start. And why is Castle in the corner? Ain't nobody scared of Castle in the corner, man. Even if Wemby dives to the cup, Hart is free to help off of Castle because we're letting Castle shoot that all day. Why is your best three-point shooter, Champagnie, not in the game with your season on the line? Mitch Johnson, basketball is not this hard. Run an actual play. Have Wemby set a screen, Fox attack downhill, Wemby dive to the cup, force Mitchell Robinson to make a decision, and have Champagnie on the strong side in the corner and force Hart to make a decision. Either way, we get Fox going downhill, we get Wemby open lane to the hoop, or we get Champagnie wide open from three. Are these not all way better options than Wemby pulling up for a mid-range? And the Spurs, they're going to lose this series because of Mitch Johnson's inability to coach a basketball team. Like, how long have you, like, you've been learning from one of the winningest coaches for how long? One of the winning coaches in NBA history for how long? And you didn't learn a single thing? Like, you lost 2 games on your home court now. And so can we just start to make some adjustments? Can we just stop having Wemby guard Cat on the perimeter? Wemby, he just can't hang with Cat on the perimeter. This is borderline basketball malpractice. Has any other coach in NBA history ever been comfortable with a man that tall guarding on the perimeter? Like, I know that Cat is so much bigger than the other players on the Spurs, like Champagnie, Castle, Harper, Fox, Vassell, and they can't guard Cat man-to-man single coverage. But have Champagnie or Vassell just press up on him, get into his body, and don't allow him to shoot, and force him into a drive. And if he big bodies them or blows past them, then you have Wemby help. Like, if Cat's going to have his way with whoever anyways on the perimeter and get into the paint, then just have him meet Wemby there. No one else on the Spurs is helping is going to do anything to Cat. This just sort of feels like Wemby's version of like the 1995 finals for Shaq in a way, because like as great like Wemby, Shaq had great physical talent, but Hakeem just had the experience and skill to punish Shaq's mistakes like Cat is doing to Wemby. And Shaq, also a sort of interesting parallel, he celebrated way too early after defeating the Bulls, the legendary Bulls and Michael Jordan, which led him to taking his foot off the gas. And who else do we know that celebrated too early? Wemby. It was great to see him, show his emotions after the game, but crying sort of symbolized that he thought that OKC was going to be their toughest series. And as tough as that series was, that was not the finals. And he still had another series to play. And I don't know if he was mentally prepared for another series after that emotional release. And also another parallel between the 1995 finals and this finals is the Rockets had great shooters that the Magic just couldn't guard on the perimeter, from like Kenny Smith, Robert Horry, Mario Elie. Like the Magic, they just weren't able to hang with them on the perimeter and stop them from getting shots up. And similarly, the Spurs are struggling to stop the Knicks from getting perimeter threes or shots from like Anunoby, Deuce McBride, Shamet, Mikal Bridges. And so this will be a great learning experience for the Spurs, for not only just Wemby, but the rest of the young core. But yeah, just outside of Wemby, there are other players to blame. Like Castle, man, you're going to need to learn how to play perimeter defense, but with you're going to learn how to play like disciplined perimeter defense. Like, you're a great POA defender, but just stop fouling, man. You got your third foul with what, like 7 minutes left in the half, and your team needs you on the court, man. It doesn't matter how good you are. If you're not on the court, you're not making an impact. You constantly hacking is just messing up your team's defense. And if I was your coach, instead of that clown that you have for a coach, I'd be furious. And also, like, what was that gamble on doubling Brunson that led to that wide open three? Or wide open Shamit three? Like, the Knicks are shooting historically great from three this playoffs. And Shamit, specifically, he only missed 1 3 in the Eastern Conference Finals. And you're going to help off of him? Like, what is this decision making? And if Castle is going to be so ready to switch, there is no need to have him on the court. You know, Champagne, he just can't hang with Brunson, bro. Like, you're ready to play all this aggressive defense, hacking left and right, helping off shooters like Brunson, but you can't fight over a screen. Like, come on, man. If you're just gonna give up a switch to Brunson every play, there is no point in you being in the game. And Harper and Fox should just close out every game, because at least Fox is secure with the ball and Harper is an actual consistent scoring threat. The Knicks have no answer for Harper, and this guy is ready for the moment. He's ready to kill. He's looking for blood, and he's looking scary. So if you're not gonna fight, then Harper deserves to be in the game over you. But as good as Harper is, he has one thing he needs to develop. Him and Wemby are clearly going to be the best two players for the Spurs in the future. And in this league, you just can't get by with a big and little duo where the little is not a significant perimeter threat. Going forward, the Spurs are going to need an actual shot creator perimeter threat because they are struggling to generate any consistent looks from outside to open up the rim. All of their off the dribble scores are primarily at their best getting to the rim, and when the defense doesn't need to space out as much, that's how they're getting away with their whole no lobs or dunks no matter what defense. So, and the Spurs just have no way of punishing that outside of Champagne. So as good as Harper is attacking the rim, this offseason, I'm looking for him to become an off-the-dribble perimeter threat. And in doing so, it'll open up drives for him, as well as, since the defense will have to worry about his shot, also make it harder to guard Wemby attacking the rim off the pick and roll, since the defense will have to be so worried about Harper. If you go under the screen, he might knock down a three. If you go over the screen, he might attack downhill. So that makes Wemby's defender have to make decisions. And so that'll just open up Wemby a lot, attacking the paint as well. So the biggest thing for the Spurs this offseason is just looking for Harper to become a on-the-ball, consistent perimeter threat, which means he's also going to need to be tighter with his handle. But on the other side of the court, man, Cat has been great. He's the Finals MVP and so far, and he's been silencing his haters this entire playoff run. Remember all those years ago when his career first started, struggling to make the playoffs, and then when he finally does, his teammate Butler calls him soft on national TV and requests a trade. And then a few years later, he finally makes the Western Conference Finals, and then he just gets traded for Julius Randle, who the Wolves decide is, along with DiVincenzo, they're better financial investments. And now he's become the best player on the court in the finals. Everyone called him soft, and now he's bullying the Spurs on the court. That pass he made to Bridges in the corner was crazy. He had the entire Spurs roster guarding him, and he somehow made a Jokic-esque pass. And he just, in general, been cooking the Defensive Player of the Year all night, and then playing great defense on who many call the best player in the world at this time. And he has just such a unique skill set. He's one of the best shooting bigs ever. He's a great rebounder. He can he can drive off the dribble. He has great passing vision, and he has enough weight on him to not get pushed around. The Spurs' lack of a good power forward is really hurting them right now. They're just too small outside of Wemby, and if they just had someone who was bigger than Vassell or Champagny, then the Spurs would definitely just be much more willing to and feel comfortable having Wemby down low and play help instead of guarding him straight up on the perimeter. But the Spurs, they just don't have someone that's super big and strong that they feel comfortable holding Cat on the perimeter. And just shout out to Cat, man. He deserves it all. As someone he's just been through a lot, and I just feel bad for him and everything he's been through, and I'm sure his mom would be proud of him right now. But as good as Cat has been this series, the series for the Spurs was lost in the last 3 minutes of the third quarter when Cat and Brunson were both on the bench. This is where the Spurs needed to come back and pull away, but Cornette comes in for Wemby, and those minutes could not have gotten any worse for the Spurs. Mikal Bridges turned into Mikal Jordan that third quarter. Hit a couple mid-range shots, tough mid-range shots, and then finds Mitchell Robinson for an alley-oop to end the quarter. Those 3 minutes were 3 minutes sacrificed by Mike Brown to the Spurs as he was sitting on the lead and wanted Cat and Brunson ready for the fourth, and the Spurs just could not take advantage. I don't think Mike Brown would even be upset if the Knicks ended up, coming to the fourth quarter down 1 or 2 possessions, even with the lead that they had. Yet the Knicks, they managed to expand that lead, and that just can't happen in a must-win game for the Spurs. Another player who deserves a shout out on the Knicks is Shamit. He's always been a great shooter, but was sort of a journeyman because coaches didn't feel like he could stay on the court due to his defense. And as great as he could shoot, if he was going to give up points on the other end, then it just wasn't worth it. But he's improved so much defensively, and now he's able to not only hold his own, but read the defense and blow up plays. And he was on the court the last defensive possession coming out of a timeout, which means that he's gone from a cone to reaching the point that he's not only trusted but wanted by the coaching staff to be on the court to get a stop in the finals. So he deserves a lot of respect in the world for working up to the level he's gotten to. And the series has just gotten away from the Spurs, and they're going to need to figure out how to win in the Garden, which is going to be rocking. And they're going to have to win not once, but probably twice. Splitting the next two games, it's not enough for San Antonio, as they'll still be down 3-1. And I don't see LeBron James walking through that locker room. They need to win the next two games. And if I'm being honest, I just don't see it happening. But we're going to need to see the Spurs start running, some set plays. Brunson is too small to guard players like Castle. And he's too small to guard players like Cass and Harper going downhill. And Cat, he's been playing great man defense on Wemby, but he just can't guard in space, and he loves to gamble too much. So we also need to get some sets, off the ball and try to create some miscommunication and just make them make decisions. Especially since the Knicks are just looking, as I keep saying, they're looking to play a no lobs or dunks no matter what strategy. And so by making that choice, they're daring the Spurs to beat them from outside. And so we're going to need to see players like Champagnie and Vassell be aggressive and confident from three. And yeah, I just personally think it's impossible for the Knicks to guard Wemby with 2 feet in the paint and Champagnie on the strong side from three. Somebody has to make a decision there. The person guarding Wemby guarding Champagnie has to make a decision there. And neither decision is a good decision. You're either having to you're going to have to either guard Wemby, who has a significant height advantage over you, or you're going to give up a wide open three to Champagnie. And so, yeah, if the Knicks are just going to be that aggressive and taking away the rim attack, then there's just going to be so much space for Champagnie or Vassell that they're going to have to punish. And I just don't understand how we're in the NBA Finals not running set plays. Like, you keep saying that, like the Mitch Johnson in post-game interviews, he keeps saying, we need to get Wemby in environments where he's comfortable with the ball. But do you even know how to do that? Like, we're basically just playing pickup on the NBA's biggest stage at this point. And as for defense, adjustments the Spurs can make on defense, we're just going to have to be more disciplined. We need much more communication on defense. We're going to need to be attached to bodies, and the Knicks, they're just too good on the perimeter to have players playing undisciplined, whether it be from gambling or not communicating switches or not jamming screens. Like, the Spurs are a very young and athletic team, and especially early in that first and second quarter, they were doing a great job of pressuring the ball handler and making it hard on the Knicks on the perimeter. But as soon as the Knicks started running some sets where they're having a lot of ball movement and stuff, the Spurs just let go. We need to see that pressure not just on the ball but off the ball, and we need to be swarming just and staying with our man, because this one play, man, with 2 minutes left in the game, Brunson scored after inbounding the ball. That is crazy. There is no situation where the inbounder, where he's inbounding right under the basket. He should never be left wide open. That's just a free layup every time. And so for game 3, I'm just gonna be looking for Wemby's paint. Main things I'm looking for is like Wemby's paint touches. If he can get to 2 feet in the paint, that should be a bucket every time. Castle staying out of foul trouble so he can make a meaningful impact on the court, and then fighting to stay with Brunson instead of giving up on switches. And if the Spurs can make enough threes to punish the no Wemby dunks no matter what defense, then they're going to be looking good this game 3. But I just think the Spurs are too inexperienced to win the series. Brunson hasn't shot efficiently in the last 2 games, yet the Knicks are up 2-0. Usually when the Stars play bad, there's some type of moral victory to be found. But the Knicks, they don't even need that. They just straight up have the victories. And so once Brunson figures out how to get going offensively, in addition to the ready churning Knicks offense, I think they're just going to start pulling away from the Spurs in this series. It's going to end relatively quickly, whether it be in 4 or 5. And so Yeah, if the Knicks get it done against the Spurs with a sweep, this will be a historical run. They will end the playoffs with 15 straight wins in the playoffs, and no team has had 15 straight wins in the playoffs besides the 2017 Warriors. So they would tie the record for most consecutive wins in the playoffs. And unlike many other historical teams, they're not getting it done with talent, but rather just with cohesiveness and teamwork and straight grit, which is so inspiring to watch as a fan. And they're just getting it done with knowing how to win. I mean, like look at the Spurs. They definitely have a lot of talent. But the Wemby has talent, Fox has talent, Castle has talent, Harper has talent. But New York knows exactly who they are. They know exactly where they want the ball, and they know the exact shots that they want, and they know the exact matchups that they want, and so they know what they want while the Spurs are trying to figure that out still, and that's why you have a team up 2-0 while the other is just still searching for answers. And just this archetype is so hard to stop. This team archetype is hard to stop. When you have a dependable ISO scorer surrounded by shooters and playmakers who are also all willing to defend, you're just gonna be hard to beat. And so I hope the Knicks get it done in the sweep and cement themselves in the history book. They really do deserve it. And I just feel bad for Dante DiVincenzo. Maybe one day he'll come back and win a ring with his boys. But either way, Knicks in 4 and bing bong.